Global economic issues are one thing, global social issues are one thing. Okay. In response to this, we also talk about sustainable developmental goals. Okay. Let's say other global issues in wars or conflicts. Wars or conflicts. Wars or conflicts are right. So this is about G20 communique. This is the outcome document of the entire G20 meeting. Okay. So in the G20 meeting, what is happening? In the entire G20 meeting, what is happening? Whatever outcomes have been given, okay, in these 37 pages document, that government is trying to convey it to us, right? So we will just look at the index and we will understand whatever we have written on the board. The first one is strong, sustainable, balanced and inclusive growth. Okay, so don't worry, like just understand, one is about growth, so growth comes under economy. The next one is sustainable developmental goals. Okay, the third one is green development, which comes under climate change. Okay, multilateral institutions for 21st century. Okay, that is about multilateralism and multilateral institutions. Next one is about technological transformations. Next one is about technological transformation. Then international taxation, gender equality. We will discuss all these points one by one, but I'm giving you the macro picture. When you look at the things, what are the things that we have not discussed? For example, social also can be related to women. This can also talk about global taxation. Under economy, we are adding what? Taxation. Then you have counter-terrorism and creating a more inclusive world. So where should we place terrorism? Terrorism. So all these are important points. So the entire G20 discussion in Delhi Declaration runs around these major pillars. One is global issues like terrorism, war, climate change. The other one is global social issues like poverty, women, sustainable developmental goals, or about economy related aspects. Okay, so this is what the G20 document tries to nudge us towards. And at the end of the day, what are we trying to achieve? We are trying to achieve a globally sustainable world. Globally sustainable world. Okay, now why is it so special? Because this G20 summit was this is achieved through consensus. What is consensus? Accepted by every single person in the room. For example, 15 people are in the room, example wise. Okay, if 14 say yes and one person is saying no, then that is not consensus. Yes or no? That is majority. Anyhow, 19 people will say yes and one person will say no, that is majority. But still, making all the 20 people see your point of view is called as consensus. Here, the beautiful part is consensus is achieved between whom and whom? The West and the East. Okay. See, on East side, who are they? China. China's friend? Russia. On West side? USA. And USA's friend? European Unions. European Unions. Because G20 is group of 19 countries plus European Union. Recently, they have also accepted African Union. Okay, so G20 now will also have what? African Union. So, America does not like Russia, right? China does not like USA. They are fighting among each other, trade wars and all those things. In between this, we have a player called as Ukraine war. Okay, a global war, not a global war, a war is happening in the world where Russia and Ukraine are fighting with each other. So, the thing is, should we discuss about Ukraine or not was a huge bone of contention. In Bali last time what happened is they blamed Russia a lot. Okay, so this time they tried to avoid that blame only on Russia and they said you should respect international laws. You should respect UN laws. So like this, the tone of the West has come down on Russia and it was achieved by India's diplomacy. Okay, it's not a wrong thing to blame Russia. Okay, both are equally problematic, right? Everybody should stop the war and go for dialogue and discussion. This is the expectation. Okay, next, as you know, the theme is one earth, one family and one future. Okay, why the term one future is very important is because if climate change happens, it does not affect only one country, it will affect all of us. Yes or no? If for example health issues, like one health issues, zoonotic diseases, do you know? Zoonotic diseases. What are zoonotic diseases? Diseases which are transferred to human beings from animals. So normally COVID, Ebola, all these are considered as zoonotic diseases. Zika, all these are zoonotic diseases. They are increasing or decreasing? They are increasing. Why are they increasing? Say for example, in Mexico, a pig farmer got a disease. A pig farmer got a disease. Okay. Do you think it will stay only in Mexico or will it reach the world? It has a chance of reaching the world. Yes or no? Just like COVID was first came out in China, then it spread to the entire world. Got my point? Okay. The problem here is all these are global issues. Okay. For example, in health, you can add one more thing called as antimicrobial resistance. What? Antimicrobial resistance. What is AMR? Antimicrobial resistance. What does it mean?
More usage of antibiotics creating mutations in the, they are creating more problems inside the body, and they are not resistant to any other. And
They are resistant or not resistant?
they are not resistant to any other antibodies.
The bacteria is getting resistant to the medicines in a way, that is yes or no? In a simple understanding, let's not complicate things. Mosquitoes are there. Okay, if we use all out daily, what will happen? Probably it will develop that resistance and it will start getting affected because of the things. Okay, say for example, if you go to Mirchi ad for the first time, what will happen? You will sneeze like hell. But if you work there every day, what will happen? Your body will develop that resistance towards that powder, that smell. Yes or no? In the same way, we are using antibiotics in everything. In poultry, they are using antibiotics. Okay, whenever people get some issues, they take antibiotics. Okay, antibiotics are used like peppermints. Everybody is eating what? Lot of antibiotics. Because of this, they develop a resistance called as microbial resistance. Okay, the thing is, it affects humans a lot because of the global nature. Yes or no? If such bugs, if such bacteria come into India, actually they discovered a bacteria in India, Delhi bug. Okay, we didn't like that name because it was found in Delhi. The thing is, we are already having such bacteria or such diseases which will affect each and every one of us. In future, God forbid, there will be one day where people will go to operation theaters, okay, but they won't heal because they don't have proper antibiotics. Yes or no? Such is the danger that is produced because of excessive use of antibiotics. So it's a global problem or not? We have to solve such global problems. Okay, so that is why in health we are promoting what? One health approach. What is one health approach?
Human health, animal health,
Hmm.
and
Nature. Yes. So humans, nature and animals. All three of us should work together in harmony. That is called as one health approach. Okay. So if nature is affected, we are affected. Yes or no? If animals are affected, we are also affected. So collectively we have to protect ourselves. This is called as one health approach. So in the G20 communique, see, this is not a new topic, but again in G20 perspective, we are working on one health approach. Okay. So like this, they are trying to promote what? Social welfare. For example, sustainable developmental goals. Okay, there are 17 sustainable developmental goals. Very, very important point for your UPSC preparation perspective. There are how many goals? 17 sustainable developmental goals. It is highly suggested that you mug up all the 17. You can write them in your conclusions, essay, everywhere. So if you know all the 17 by heart, you can write a lot of good answers. Okay. So sustainable, name says sustainable developmental goals. For example, the first sustainable developmental goal is to eliminate poverty in all its forms. To eliminate poverty in all its forms. So how will poverty affect everyone? If poverty is there, there is no health. If poverty is there, there is no education. If poverty is there, there is also no development. Yes or no? So poverty anywhere is a threat to prosperity everywhere. Poverty anywhere is what? Threat to prosperity everywhere. So that is why UN is promoting what? Sustainable developmental goals. We are accelerating sustainable developmental goals. The problem is the world has promised that we will implement sustainable developmental goals by 2030. Okay, but till now only 12% of the goals have been achieved. We still have a lot more to achieve in the next 6 or 7 years. Yes or no? So it is not going to be easy because there has to be what? Collective effort. Everybody has to come together to work together so that we will have a healthy planet, sustainable planet, and clean air, water, oceans, everything. So big projects are there under the sustainable developmental goals. So it's our responsibility to do what? Meet the sustainable developmental targets. So right now India has asked all the countries in the world to accelerate achievement of sustainable developmental goals. Okay, to do this we need some amount of money from developed nations. Yes or no? African countries, some South Asian countries, all these are poor countries. If they want to remove poverty, they need money. Who has to give money? Rich countries or developed countries have to give money. Clear? Are you able to understand so far? Any confusions? So the themes are social, economical, climate change, that is environment, okay, and multilateralism. All these are global problems. See, anything everywhere, anything anywhere is also a small problem. Yes or no? Anything anywhere is a small problem at that local level. But combine all the small problems, what will it become? A big problem. Yes or no? Radicalization is increasing. Radicalization means what? Brainwashing, promoting hatred towards the other. When I am promoting hate, okay, will that stop at India level or will it go international level? It will become international problem. For example, in Afghanistan, children and women are not allowed to get education and all these things. Those children might become terrorists. Okay, and they might start spreading hate or love. Hate. Women rights are violated. Isn't it a global problem? Yes or no? That's a huge global problem. Looking at that, the UN chief recently said that women rights are vanishing. Women rights are vanishing in front of our own eyes. Women are not having any rights in Afghanistan. So we should not treat it as an Afghanistan problem. We should treat it as a global problem. Like this, social issues have to be understood at global perspective. The beautiful part is India is trying to promote all these things. Now we will come back to the original theme of Delhi Declaration, that is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. So do you remember what all India has done to promote Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam? I told you the other day 1, 2, 3, 4 points. In the G20 especially we have worked on Global Biofuel Alliance. Yes or no? Global Biofuel Alliance. What is Global Biofuel Alliance? We are asking the world to mix petrol plus some biofuel, especially ethanol, at least to what extent? 20%. We are already trying to do this in India. Now we are asking at a global level. So this is also one outcome of G20, Global Biofuel Alliance. Okay. At the same time, we have also asked African Union to join what? G20. Okay. Why? We are the voice of global south. We are the voice of global south. Because we are the voice of the global south, okay, we have given more emphasis for African nations. Not only African nations, we are also working towards the development of LDCs means less developed or least developed countries, right? SID, small island developing nations. Okay, so small islands will be there in the oceans. So when the sea level rises, who will drown? Small islands. Yes or no? So that is why we have to work on what? Small island developing nations. Least developing countries or least developed countries. So LDCs are least developed countries. So we have to work on all these things. So don't worry about definitions, full forms. Understand the essence. India is not only talking about money, which is a usual habit of developed countries. We are also asking all these developed countries to work for whom? For the 4 P's. For the 4 P's. What are the 4 P's? Think about it. What can be the 4 P's? Looking by the board. Peace is one good thing. People, planet, peace, prosperity. What are the 4 P's? People, planet, peace and prosperity. People, planet, peace and prosperity. So if you remember that one line, the same lines can be seen everywhere. Social can be what? Prosperity. Yes or no? Peace is about conflicts. Okay. Planet is about climate change. People is overall development. It can be money, it can be social, it can be overall growth. So people, planet, peace and prosperity. This is the core theme or core aim of the G20. So we have to work about health, we have to talk about inequality, we have to talk about health, sustainable developmental goals and women. For example, gender gap is a huge issue. What is a huge issue? Gender gap is a huge issue. Gender parity. Okay. What is gender parity? That means, yes, differences between men and women in various parameters. For example, salary you are getting. Yes or no? Men and women both are working same position, same role, but men will get more salary in comparison to women. That is gender wage gap. Yes or no? Then you also have other issues like less women are working in comparison to men. When you go to the market, okay, whom do you see? More men or women? More men everywhere. Yes, women are there definitely, but we cannot say that more women are there in comparison to men. Definitely men dominates the public spaces. So all these are problems towards the women issues. So we have to work towards what? Gender empowerment. Okay. So while India talks about all these things, it does not forget about the money part. Okay. It asks for multilateral developmental banks. Okay. The G20 communique also talks about what? Multilateral developmental banks. Okay. That means big banks created by countries coming together so that they can help each other. BRICS bank, you know, New Development Bank, BRICS time we have discussed. East institutions, West institutions. IMF and World Bank are for the West, whereas East have New Developmental Bank, Asian Infrastructure Bank, like this. So these are all multilateral developmental banks which come for what? Welfare of the planet. Next, they also talk about zero tolerance to corruption. Zero tolerance to corruption. That means G20 does not like what? Corruption. Okay, it asks institution to share data, countries to share data. Especially in the corruption context, they specify more about asset recovery mechanisms. Asset recovery mechanisms. Whenever corruption comes, remember the term asset recovery mechanisms. What is asset recovery? That means you have done corruption in one country, escape to another country. Yes or no? Then shouldn't I recover your assets from that place? Yes, that is asset recovery mechanisms and cooperations. Okay, next. What else? If economy has to work well, okay, what does an economy need? What kind of capital do we need? We need a good amount of human capital. So the next point under economy is what? Human capital. The G20 communique expects the countries to invest in skill development. Okay, in skill development. We need to invest a good amount of money in what? Skill development. Next, continuation to the same economy aspect, you can also write one more keyword, that is SSBIG. SSBIG. What is SSBIG? Strong, sustainable, balanced, and inclusive growth. Strong, sustainable, balanced, and inclusive growth. Okay, that is one more keyword. Under economy only we are discussing these points. What are the points we have discussed so far? Human capital, strong, sustainable, balanced, and inclusive growth. Okay, so growth is important, but it should be how? Strong. It should be sustainable. It should be balanced, and above all, it should be what? Inclusive. What is the meaning of inclusive? Everybody should be involved. That means if one part of the country is making money, all the other parts of the country should also get the benefit. If rich people are getting rich and poor people are staying poor, that is not inclusive development. Inclusive development is mostly about what? Everybody should be included. We have discussed this point already in the name of Sabka Saath. Yes or no? Sabka Saath. That means development should reach every person in the country. Clear? Next point. It also tries to revive the global institutions, especially WTO. Okay, the G20 communique expects the WTO to start working again. That is called as multilateral trading systems. Multilateral trading systems. It is for what? G20. It is for the G20 to expect that we should revive what? WTO. See, WTO works on a principle called as consensus. It works on a principle called as consensus. When consensus is there, okay, everybody will listen to that. When there is no consensus, there will be small groups. For example, China and its friends will make a group, US and its friends will make a group, Latin American countries will have its own group. Like this, there will be so many groups in the world. If there are so many groups, that is not a good thing. But if we have a global institution working for the welfare of everybody, that is a good institution. So this year, what is India trying to promote? Multilateral institutions. So multilateralism or bringing multilateral trade systems. Multilateral trade systems. So this is what India is trying to promote in the world. Okay. So that is a mains question in itself. What are the problems of World Trade Organization, especially with Indian context? Okay, or what is the problem with dispute settlement mechanism of WTO? So like this, every single line is a mains question, but slowly you will understand. But under what economy section we are discussing all these points. Okay. Last point. Financial inclusion. Financial inclusion using digital public infrastructure. What is financial inclusion? See, that is the one way to think about it, but normally financial inclusion means bringing the unbanked or uncovered under some regulated mechanism. For example, banks. Okay, many poor people in India or many people all over the world do not have proper bank accounts. Okay, or they do not come under regulated mechanisms. Okay, such people should be brought under what? Regulated mechanisms. What is the advantage? Let's imagine there is a poor woman. Okay. It's called as Jam Trinity. She have Aadhaar card and she have a mobile. When both of these things are linked to a Jandhan bank account. This is called as Jam Trinity. Jam Trinity. So, if a poor woman is having a Jam account or that is Jandhan account, okay, what happens is government can give directly subsidy to her bank account. It will not be taken by some middlemen. This is also mechanism we use for DBTs. Direct benefit transfer. Okay, what is direct benefit transfer? Directly will be subsidized or deposited in your own bank account. There is no middleman. Yes or no? For example, Narega. You are working in Narega. You have to get salary. How will I give money? DBT. Okay. You are going to some government hospital. They have a scheme that if you get delivery in the government hospital, you will get certain amount of money. How will you get the money? Directly. By bringing more people into financial inclusion, we are eliminating the middlemen. Yes or no? Or else people will go to the middlemen and they will be exploited. This is a huge problem. Okay. And this we can promote through small incentives. Like first, if you start the bank account, then it's easy to start using UPI. Yes or no? Nowadays in Hyderabad, they have a culture. Every week, one street will have a market. Yes or no? Tomatoes and all this market will be set up in one different colony. All those women, most of the times they will be women who will be selling the vegetables. They have QR codes. Okay, if you scan them, where is that money going? In the bank account of her only. Yes or no? She will exactly know how much money she is receiving. That is empowerment of women in one way or the other. Yes. So if it's cash, somebody will grab, she might lose, husband might be a drunkard, he might take money and all those things. But if it's digital, probably it is safe. Like this, there are advantages of financial inclusion. Not only for women, for the entire country, it's a good thing. Why? It reduces corruption. Yes or no? Every rupee that you view through UPI, that is automatically audited. Government will know who is getting how much rupees, exactly how much. But if there is no UPI, the cash will be circulated. The shopkeeper might get 60,000 rupees in a month and he might only declare 40,000 rupees. The 20,000 rupees he can keep as a black money. But if all the 60,000 rupees are transactions done through UPI, then where will he hide? There is no place for him to hide. So like this, there are multiple advantages of using financial inclusion. Clear? Corruption part we have discussed. Sustainable developmental goals I have mentioned briefly. You can also write one more line under sustainable developmental goals, or normally also D4D. What is D4D? Data for development. Data for development. What is D4D? Data for development. In today's Hindu, there is an article about Ministry of Education asking all the schools to come under one particular website. All the data has to be uploaded. See, here two terms are there. One is what? Data. The other one is development. Okay. As we have discussed in earlier classes also, growth means more about money. Growth means more about money. Whereas development is holistic or overall development. Okay. So how can data promote your overall development? Sorry? Data will show how much growth has taken place. Okay. See, the problem is in development, it is a very subjective term. Development is what? A subjective term. For example, you are an IAS officer, you are a district collector. Government will say school education system should be very good. Okay, the term is what? Very good or good. Then how do you quantify good? For small parameters. For example, attendance of whom? Teachers and students. Okay. Then, for example, because government school, it's about food. Yes or no? Food includes what? Midday meal scheme. On a given day, okay, do you know how many students have attended the school in your district? You don't know. It's very difficult to know. But now assume there is biometric attendance, or manually they will upload. In every class, this number of students present, this many absent. So by the afternoon time, government collector will get a message saying there are supposed to be, let's say, 16 lakh students, exaggerated number, but assume 16 lakh students are there in the government schools. Okay, out of this 14 lakh students are absent today. Sorry, 14 lakh students are present, 2 lakhs are absent. That's a huge number, no? I mean, generally for an idea sake. Okay, then you can inquire why. Right, real time data. Out of this, how many are getting what? Midday meals. That's a huge amount of project that the state is running. But slowly school started, everybody is coming to the school. After 3-4 months, the attendance has dropped to what percentage? 50%. So 50% is the absentage. Or in some schools, the absenteeism is what? 50%. In some schools, 100% attendance is there. Okay, so as a collector, you can identify which schools are performing well. So there must be some reason why people are coming to the schools. There must be a reason why students are dropping out in that particular district. Yes or no? Or particular mandal. In one particular mandal, girls are not coming to the school. Okay, within the absentees, more number is absent of girls. Why? You can identify some social issues, like there is some social evil there, child marriages are there, something like this. By looking at school data, you can target child marriage. Yes or no? By looking at attendance data, you can track health records. Children are falling very sick very regularly. That is why absenteeism is very high. So like this, data will give you a lot of wonderful inputs. Yes or no? All these things have to be automated. Right now, all these things are happening manually. It is a burden to the teacher and the Anganwadi workers and all those people. But one day, all these things will become what? Automated. Everything will be recorded automatically. If I press the biometric mission, automatically the data will go into the present database. Okay. The same student should also press a button at the midday meal scheme. Yes or no? Like this, data will give you insights which normally we cannot even see. Yes or no? It's very hard to understand how attendance or child marriages are included. Okay, but by looking at attendance data, you can actually get the data on child marriages, which mandal is having more dropout ratio. Like this, beautiful insights will come into the picture. Not only this, as a headmaster of that school, you will also know how many people are very bad in maths. Okay, in every class, 60 plus students are not getting good scores in maths. Then there must be a problem with the teacher also. Yes or no? One class, one student not understanding maths is not a big deal. But in every class, same teacher is there, but 60 plus students are not understanding the maths, or their score is very less. Then we need to change our orientation. Yes or no? Or we have to give more focus to students who are not doing well in maths, but doing well in science. So like this, depending on the tailor suited needs of every student, we can have special classes. Normally in schools, what will they do? Special class. All subjects, all students are thrown. Okay, but all of you are very good in maths. Why do you need a maths special class? But you are very weak in Hindi. You need what? Hindi classes rather than maths class. Like this, tailor suited, performance based education systems can be identified. Got my point? Okay, so this is what? D for D, data for development. This is just one example. Now as an administrator, you can apply this to 10,000 departments. Yes or no? Health, education, loans, farmer loans, agriculture sector, everywhere you can have data. More data means more understanding. But in the starting days, collecting data will be a headache. It will be a futile exercise. But once the data is collected, it's easy to process the data. Do you see this thing? Okay. This process is called as data-driven policy making. Data-driven policy making. Who is driving the policy changes? The data is telling you what to change, what not to change. Clear? Right? So I hope you understood the major themes of the G20 communique, right? So the major themes are about people, planet, peace and prosperity. Within that they try to do lot of things. Long term wise, utility wise, if you look at some points, the one point that is definitely useful for your prelims is Global Biofuel Alliance. Okay, in mains also, in prelims also, you will write what is Global Fuel Alliance. Somewhere you will use it for sure. Okay, multilateral development banks also is important. What are multilateral developmental banks? How do we promote it? Next one is WTO's dispute settlement body. Okay, so these three are very, very important. Other items like African Union, right? And corridor with the West, small trivial details. Italy leaving the Belt and Road Initiative. They will be there. You just have to keep an eye. We will cover them anyhow in one or the other article. It will again come back again and again. Hindu editorials like this. But bottom line is G20 has been very fruitful, at least on the book or on the paper for India. India have done a great thing by widening the scope of G20. We are not only talking about money, we are talking about planet in its entirety because we share one future. America's future and India's future are not separate futures, they are intertwined. Okay, if India is not doing health wise well, America will also not do health wise well because we have connectivity. If a disease is happening in China, it won't stay in China, it will spread throughout the world. So, like this, you have to understand global problems are everybody's problem, not one country's problem. Clear? Any questions? Are you able to understand my flow? Am I fast? Like comfortable? Hmm. No, at least feedback I can take. No, whether I will implement them or not is again like a different thing. Is that no? Hmm. We'll slowly understand, right? We'll try to cover the most important articles from 7th to 11th tomorrow. Only the important articles. On your own, you keep reading newspaper. See, I will make it very clear. Newspaper classes are not substitute for newspaper reading. Newspaper reading has to happen on your own. The classes are thought provocation for you. They are supposed to make you think. Okay, they are not supposed to teach you everything. I'm here to give some insights. Okay, you can also think like this. You can think a simple word like D4D and apply it to various scenarios. Yes or no? Because I believe data when used properly is very powerful tool. That is why Barack Obama nicely says data is the oil of the 21st century. Data is the oil of the 21st century. Why? Earlier, Saudi Arabia and all these countries became very rich by how? By exporting oil. So right now, any country which uses oil, that is the data properly, will become powerful. I hope you understand. So data is the oil of the 21st century. Any questions? Understood everything? Went above the head? No? Something went inside? Yes. How long will it stay? If you revise, it will stay. We have to revise it by applying it every day. Whenever we see biofuels, next time we will recollect. Oh, there is a national biofuel policy. There is a global biofuel alliance. In G20, we have done this, so on and so forth. See, one point I didn't mention is the climate change part. I didn't go in depth because climate change, anyhow, we have promised net zero targets, right? And the West is supposed to give money to the developing countries or poor countries. That anyhow in the newspaper articles we will cover. Okay, right. So look at all the keywords that probably have written today. If you have any questions, let me know. Did you feel like you learned something new about G20, or did you get any value from the discussion? Yes. Hmm. Clear? Yes. So if you don't understand anything, again, when we are reading newspapers tomorrow onwards, again, don't worry, you can come and talk to me, or you can ask in the class itself. We will update the points. Because trust me, for next 6 months at least 20 editorials and articles will come on G20. India have done like this. We promised this, but we are not doing this. So many articles will come. So G20, this is not the end of G20. It will come again and again and again. So by that time, revision will happen very nicely. Okay? Yeah. So if you don't have any questions, I will end the session. Yeah. See you.